the whisper in the dark. The ruins were silent. The air was heavy with dust. The stones looked old, broken, and forgotten by time. A lone human walked carefully through the cracked walls, his boots pressing softly on the ground. His name was Daniel, an explorer searching for lost worlds. But today, something felt different, something strange. The silence was not empty. It was alive, watching him, holding its breath. Daniel stopped when he heard a sound. It was not wind, it was not the crumble of stone. It was a voice, faint and trembling, the whisper of someone hiding in the shadows. He turned, his hand ready to draw his light blade. But what he saw made him freeze. There, sitting against a broken pillar, was a girl. She was not human. Her skin had a soft glow like moonlight. Her body was covered in a cloth that looked torn and old. Her eyes, bright and strange, looked at him with fear and sorrow. She raised her head slowly, her lips moving, and with a voice that was soft as the wind, she whispered, "I'm not pure." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Her words made no sense, yet they carried a weight he could not explain. It was as if the universe itself paused to listen. The girl looked away, hiding her face under the cloth. Her hands trembled, clutching the fabric as if it was the only thing protecting her. He stepped closer, careful not to scare her. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice calm but filled with curiosity. She did not answer, only shook her head. Then she whispered again, almost begging, "Don't come near me. I'm not pure." Daniel's heart beat faster. He could see she was weak, her shoulders trembling, her breath shallow. But there was something else in her eyes. Something powerful, not evil but dangerous. It was the kind of danger that could change everything. And he felt himself drawn to it, unable to look away. The ruins around them stood silent. No bird sang, no wind blew. It was as if the world itself was listening to her words. Daniel felt trapped between fear and curiosity. He wanted to help her, but he also feared what she truly was. "Why do you say that?" he asked softly. "Why call yourself impure?" The girl's fingers gripped the cloth tighter. Her eyes shone with pain. "My people, they cast me out," she whispered. "They said I was wrong, cursed, dangerous." She paused, her voice breaking. "If the cloth falls, if you see what I really am, your heart will stop too." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. Her words pressed against his chest like a heavy stone. He wanted to believe she was only afraid, only hiding scars. But deep inside, he knew it was more than that. Something about her felt different, bigger than his understanding. And he knew he was standing on the edge of something that could shatter him. The silence stretched. The dust in the air seemed to shimmer around her. Her glow grew brighter for a moment, then faded as she pulled the cloth tighter. Daniel took a step back, his instincts telling him to run. But his heart refused to leave her. "Even if you are not pure," he said carefully, "I am not afraid." The girl's head snapped up, her eyes wide in shock. For a moment, Daniel saw something in them. Something soft, like hope, but it vanished quickly, replaced by fear. "You don't understand," she whispered, her voice shaking. "If the cloth falls, you will never be the same. Your world will never be the same." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to reach out, to pull her from her fear. But he knew something greater than both of them was hidden beneath that cloth. And maybe, just maybe, he was not ready to see it yet. The ruins moaned softly as the wind returned. Dust swirled. Shadows danced. Daniel stood frozen, staring at the fragile girl who whispered danger and sorrow. She sat trembling, afraid of herself, afraid of him, afraid of the truth. The words, "I'm not pure," echoed in his mind again and again, and he realized this was not the end of a journey. This was only the beginning. The ruins seemed to hold their breath once more. The girl closed her eyes, gripping the cloth as if it held her last piece of safety. Daniel felt his heart pounding louder. Something was about to happen. Something that would change everything. The darkness around them whispered with secrets, and the humans stood still, caught between fear and destiny. A dangerous secret. The night inside the ruins grew heavier. The broken stones seemed to lean closer, as if listening to every word. Daniel stood frozen, still hearing her whisper echo in his mind. "I'm not pure." He wanted to walk away, to escape the weight of her words, but something inside him told him that if he left now, he would never forgive himself. The alien girl kept her head lowered. Her hands clutched the cloth so tightly her knuckles turned pale. She did not move. She did not breathe for a moment, and then, in a voice that was almost too soft to hear, she spoke again. "You should not be here, human, you should not see me." Daniel's eyes narrowed. He had heard fear before, but this was something else. It was fear mixed with shame, fear mixed with sorrow. "What are you hiding?" he asked carefully. His voice was calm, but his heart raced with every beat. The girl shook her head. "You would not understand," she whispered. Her words trembled like broken glass. "My people, they called me a curse." Her eyes glimmered with tears that refused to fall. "They said my very breath could bring ruin." Daniel felt the hair on his arms rise. Curse, he thought. He had heard stories of cursed beings, of dangerous powers hidden in the galaxy. But standing before him was not a monster. She looked fragile, weak, almost breakable, and yet, there was something about her that made his chest tighten with unease. "Why would they fear you?" Daniel asked. "Because of what you are?" Her lips quivered. She raised her head just enough for him to see the faint glow in her eyes. "It is not what I am," she said. "It is what I carry inside me." Her words cut through the silence like a blade. Daniel felt his breath hitch. "What do you mean?" he asked. But the girl shook her head again, refusing to say more. A low sound echoed through the ruins. Not her voice, not his breath, but something else. The walls trembled faintly, dust falling from the cracks above. Daniel looked around sharply, his instincts telling him they were not alone. The girl's eyes widened with terror. "They are watching," she whispered. Her voice barely carried, but the fear inside it was sharp and real. Daniel gripped the hilt of his blade. "Who is watching?" he demanded. The girl clutched the cloth even tighter. Her glow dimmed as if she was trying to hide herself from the shadows. "They want me gone," she whispered. "They want me erased, and now they will come for you too." Daniel's jaw clenched. He could feel the cold air shift around him. The ruins seemed alive, heavy with unseen eyes, but he forced himself to stay calm. "What happens if they find you?" he asked. The girl's face twisted with pain. "If they find me," she whispered, "they will not let you live, because you have seen me." The silence that followed was crushing. Daniel's chest burned with questions. But one truth was clear. This girl was not simply abandoned. She was hunted, and now so was he. Daniel stepped closer despite her warning. "I don't care," he said firmly. "You're not alone anymore." The girl's eyes widened as if his words carried more danger than the shadows around them. "No," she whispered sharply. "You don't understand what I am. If the cloth falls, you will change, your soul will change." Her trembling hands loosened for only a second. The edge of the cloth slipped. A faint light escaped, bright enough to paint the broken stones with silver. Daniel's breath caught. He saw only a glimpse, but it was enough to freeze him in place. It was not the light of a lamp, not the glow of a star. It was something alive, something that pulsed with power. The girl yanked the cloth back quickly, her body shaking. "Don't look," she cried softly. "You are not ready. No human is ready." Daniel's heart pounded. What had he just seen? A secret so bright, so alive. It felt like touching the edge of eternity, and yet it was hidden under fragile cloth, guarded by a trembling alien girl who called herself impure. The ruins groaned again, the shadows shifting like living things. Daniel's grip on his blade tightened. He knew now, this girl was not just dangerous, she was hunted for a reason, But he also knew something else. He could not walk away. Not after seeing her. Not after hearing the truth hidden inside her trembling voice. And as the air grew colder, as the ruins whispered with unseen movement, Daniel realized one thing. This was not just a meeting. This was the beginning of a dangerous secret. One that could change the fate of both human and alien forever. The cloth trembles. The ruins grew darker. The air felt heavy, pressing down like invisible hands. Daniel's every breath echoed against the broken walls. He kept his hand near his blade, but his eyes stayed fixed on the alien girl before him. Her trembling body, her desperate grip on the cloth, her glowing eyes that carried both sorrow and warning. She sat curled against the stone pillar, whispering to herself as if fighting an unseen battle. Her voice cracked, filled with fear. They will find me. They always find me. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to speak, to promise safety. But before he could, the wind shifted. It was not a normal wind. It carried no dust, no scent, only a deep vibration, like the breath of something ancient moving through the ruins. The girl gasped and clutched her cloth tighter. Her glow flickered, faint and unstable. "Don't look at me," she whispered sharply. "Don't let the cloth fall. If it slips, you will not be the same." Daniel's eyes narrowed. The mystery was crushing him, filling his mind with questions. He had seen the faint light before, just a glimpse when the cloth loosened. It was not just light, it was alive, a living force that made his heart pound and his thoughts blur. Now he needed to know the truth. But the girl shook her head, her voice trembling. "My people called me cursed, impure, because of what shines beneath this cloth." She lowered her head, her tears glowing faintly like silver drops. "They said if others looked at me, their hearts would stop, their souls would burn, and they would lose themselves forever." Daniel swallowed hard. Her words chilled him, but his curiosity burned stronger than his fear. "What is under the cloth?" he asked firmly. Her body froze, her hands tightening around the fabric as though it were her last shield. "You must never see it," she whispered. "If the cloth falls, the ruins themselves will awaken, and nothing will be the same." The silence grew unbearable. The ruins seemed to lean closer, listening to their every word. Then, without warning, the ground trembled. A crack spread across the floor, stones crumbling around them. Daniel grabbed the wall for balance. The girl screamed softly, clutching her cloth. But in that chaos, it slipped, only for a heartbeat, only for a breath. But in that moment, the cloth trembled, and from beneath it, light burst out. It was not sunlight, not fire, not electricity. It was something deeper, something that felt alive and endless. Daniel's eyes widened. His heart skipped. He felt both fear and wonder crash through him at once. The girl quickly pulled the cloth back, her body shaking as tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. "I told you," she whispered, broken and afraid. "You are not ready. No one is ready." But Daniel could not move. The glimpse still burned inside his mind. The light was not a curse. It was beauty. It was power. It was something that no words could describe. And it called to him, pulling at his very soul. The ruins groaned louder, dust raining from above. Daniel's instincts screamed that something had been awakened. He looked around, feeling shadows crawl at the edges of the walls. Voices whispered in the cracks of the stone. Not human, not alien, but something older, something watching. The girl's glow dimmed as she pressed her back against the pillar. "They felt it?" she whispered in horror. "They know." The cloth trembled. "They know the secret almost broke free." Her hands shook so violently the cloth nearly slipped again. Daniel stepped forward, his voice firm. "Tell me what you are hiding." Her head shook violently. "No, if I tell you, the galaxy itself will hunt you." Daniel's jaw tightened. He could feel the fear in her words, but he could also feel her loneliness. She had carried this burden for too long, alone, afraid, rejected by her people, and now she stood before him, one human who had seen the edge of her truth. "I don't care," Daniel said slowly. "I need to know." His words made her eyes widen, glowing brighter. She stared at him as if no one had ever spoken those words before, as if no one had ever wanted to share her burden. Her lips trembled. She leaned closer, her voice breaking like shattered glass. "If the cloth falls, you will change, your soul will bend. You will never be who you were before." Her tears shimmered like liquid light. "But if you stay, if you choose to see, you will carry my curse with me." Daniel's heart pounded. The weight of choice pressed against him. But before he could answer, the ruins shook again. This time louder, sharper, as if something was breaking free. From the shadows, a low growl echoed. Not an animal, not a machine, but something twisted and ancient. The girl's face turned pale. "They have come," she whispered, her grip on the cloth trembling even more. "They will destroy us both." Daniel raised his blade, his eyes narrowing, but his mind was still caught on the glimpse of the light beneath her cloth. The truth was close, trembling, ready to break free, and he knew, one way or another, the secret would soon be revealed. When truth burns. The ruins shook as if a giant heart had begun to beat beneath the earth. Dust fell like rain, covering Daniel's shoulders. He raised his blade, the silver edge catching faint light from the cracks above. But his eyes never left the alien girl pressed against the pillar. Her trembling hands clutched the cloth with desperate strength. Her lips moved in broken whispers, words meant for herself, not for him. They know the cloth trembled," she said. Her voice was sharp with fear. "They will come to end us. They will not let you live after seeing me." Daniel's jaw tightened. The air grew colder. Shadows seemed to crawl across the stone walls, sliding like black water. Something was watching them, he could feel it. Not eyes of flesh, but something older. Something born in the cracks between stars. He stepped closer to the girl. "Tell me what you are," he demanded. Her glow flickered weakly as she shook her head. "I am not what you think," she whispered. Her voice cracked like glass. "I am a mistake, a wound in the universe. A fire that should never burn." Her words cut through him like a blade, but Daniel refused to turn away. "I saw your light," he said, his voice steady. "That is not a curse. It is something more." Her eyes widened, glowing brighter for a moment. Her breath quickened as tears slipped down her glowing cheeks. "You don't understand," she whispered. "When the cloth falls, truth burns, and it does not stop burning." A sudden roar echoed through the ruins. The ground cracked, stones split. Something was forcing its way into the broken halls. The girl gasped, pulling the cloth tighter. "They are here," she cried softly. "If they see me, if the cloth falls completely, this place will not survive." Daniel planted his feet firmly, blade in hand, but even as the danger grew closer, his gaze returned to her. Her trembling hands were losing their strength. The cloth quivered as if alive, slipping inch by inch. A faint light spilled through, brighter this time. It touched the walls, painting them in silver fire. The old carvings on the stones glowed faintly, symbols awakening after centuries of silence. Daniel's chest tightened. He could not look away. The light burned, not like flame, but like truth. It reached into him, into his memories, into the parts of himself he kept buried. For one moment he felt completely exposed. For one moment, he felt as if the universe itself was staring back through him. The girl screamed, pulling the cloth higher. "No!" she cried, her voice breaking. "You cannot look. You are not ready." Her glow flared and then dimmed, her strength fading. But Daniel had already seen enough to know she was not lying. Whatever burned beneath that cloth was more than light. It was a living force. It was power wrapped in sorrow. It was the kind of truth that could blind entire worlds. The ruins groaned louder. From the darkness at the far end, shapes began to emerge, twisted figures of shadow and smoke, eyes glowing faintly red, their voices whispering like broken glass. Daniel's heart pounded. He had faced enemies before, but nothing like this. The girl curled tighter against the stone. Her whisper carried through the chaos. "They are the keepers of silence," she said weakly. "They hunt me because they fear what I am. They fear the cloth will fall." Daniel raised his blade, his voice sharp. "Then let them fear." But deep inside, he knew his strength alone could not stop what was coming. Only her secret, the burning truth under the cloth, could drive them back. The girl's hands trembled violently now. The fabric slipped again, light flashing out like a living flame. The twisted shadows screamed, recoiling for a heartbeat. Daniel's eyes widened. The light burned them. It was their weakness, their enemy. The girl whimpered, tears spilling fast. "You see? The truth is fire," she cried. "It burns everything it touches, even those who try to help me." Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady. "Then let it burn me, if that is what it takes." Her eyes widened in shock. No one had ever spoken those words to her before. Her lips trembled. "You don't know what you're asking," she whispered. "If the cloth falls completely, you will never be human again." The shadows screamed louder, closing in. The walls shook, the air grew thick. Daniel gripped his blade, his heart pounding like thunder. He looked at her, this fragile, broken being who called herself impure, and in that moment he made his choice. "Then let the truth burn," he said. His voice was firm, unshaken. "If it saves us both, I will face it." The girl stared at him, her glow flickering wildly. The cloth trembled in her hands, slipping lower. The light beneath grew brighter, alive, unstoppable. The ruins shivered as if afraid of what was about to be revealed. And as the shadows lunged forward with a roar, the cloth slipped further. The truth was seconds away from breaking free, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it. Humanity trembles. The ruins shook like the bones of a dying giant. Shadows twisted, screaming as they lunged forward. Daniel gripped his blade, ready to fight, but his eyes never left the alien girl whose cloth trembled in her hands. The glow beneath it had grown too strong to hide. Every breath she took made the fabric quiver as if it wanted to fall away. She pressed her forehead against the stone pillar. Her voice broke into sobs. "I cannot hold it back. I cannot stop it anymore." Daniel stepped closer. "You don't have to," he said firmly. His voice cut through the chaos. "You think this is a curse, but maybe it's the only way to survive." Her glowing eyes widened in shock. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "You don't understand. When the cloth falls, hearts stop, souls break, and humanity trembles." Daniel's chest tightened. He believed her. He had already felt the burn of her light, but he also knew they had no choice. The shadows were closing in, their whispering voices clawing at his ears. If she did not reveal her truth, they would both be erased. The cloth slipped further. A streak of light burst out, striking the nearest shadow. It screamed, its body tearing apart like smoke and fire. Daniel's eyes widened. This was it. Her secret was not just dangerous, it was a weapon, a truth too bright for the enemy to face. The girl cried out, her tears glowing like molten silver. "Do not look at me," she begged. "I do not want to break you too." Daniel took another step, blade in one hand, his free hand reaching toward her. "You will not break me," he said, his voice low but steady. "You will show me who you are, and I will stand." The shadows screamed again, dozens of them rushing from the darkness. The ruins cracked, symbols glowing across the stone. The air shook like thunder as if the world itself feared what was about to come. The girl clutched the cloth for the last time. Her lips trembled, her voice breaking. "I am sorry," she whispered, and then she let go. The cloth fell. The ruins exploded with light. It was not a light of fire or sun, but something deeper, something that burned inside the soul. The shadows shrieked, twisting and tearing apart as the silver glow consumed them. Daniel staggered, his eyes wide. He could not breathe, his chest frozen. His heart thundered so violently he thought it might stop. The girl stood revealed. Her form was not flesh as he knew it. She was light wrapped in shape, a body of living fire hidden inside fragile skin. Every line of her shimmered, glowing with beauty too dangerous for words. Her sorrow, her fear, her loneliness. Everything poured from that glow, and for the first time, Daniel understood why her people had cast her out. She was not impure. She was too pure, too bright, too powerful. Her very existence shook the air, and humanity trembled before her. Daniel fell to one knee, not in worship, not in fear, but because his body could not handle the weight of what he was seeing. His chest burned, his mind blurred. It felt as though every hidden truth in his heart was being pulled out and laid bare. Every lie, every sorrow, every buried pain, exposed under her light. The girl sobbed, covering her face with her hands. "I told you," she cried. "I destroy everything. I make the strong collapse. I make the brave tremble. Even you cannot endure me." But Daniel forced himself to rise. His legs shook, his breath ragged. Yet he stood, his voice breaking but unyielding. "You are not a curse," he said. "You are what they fear because they do not understand." The ruins glowed brighter as her light spread through every crack. The shadows were gone, burned to nothing. The silence that followed was deafening. It was as if the entire galaxy was holding its breath. Daniel took a step toward her, his chest heavy, his eyes locked on her shimmering form. He reached out his hand slowly, not to grab her, not to force her, but to show her that he did not turn away, that even in trembling, even in fear, he would not abandon her. Her glowing eyes lifted, staring at him through tears. Her lips trembled. "No one has ever stood before me this long," she whispered. "No one has ever survived my truth." Daniel's voice was soft but steady. "Then let me be the first." For a moment, the ruins were quiet. Her light dimmed slightly, as if calming. Her breathing slowed, her trembling softened, and though Daniel's chest still ached, though his body still shook, he knew he had faced the burning truth, and he had not broken. Humanity trembled before her, but one human stood, and the galaxy would never be the same. The choice. The ruins no longer shook. The shadows were gone, burned away by the girl's light, but silence itself felt heavy. Daniel's chest still ached, his body trembling from what he had seen, yet his eyes stayed fixed on her, the alien girl who had been hiding under the cloth. Her form shimmered with living light. Every movement was soft but powerful. She was like a star pretending to be flesh, but her glowing eyes were filled only with sorrow. She wrapped her arms around herself as if she wanted to disappear. "I warned you," she whispered, her voice cracked with pain. "You should have run. You should have never looked." Daniel shook his head slowly. His breathing was rough, but his voice was steady. "If I had run, you would still be alone." The girl froze, her tears glowing as they rolled down her face. "No one should carry me," she said softly. "I am too dangerous, too heavy. If you stay, you will never be the same." Daniel stepped closer. "I have already changed," he said. Her eyes widened as he spoke. His words carried no fear, no hesitation, only truth. The ruins hummed faintly. The ancient carvings still glowed from the touch of her light. It was as if the stones themselves were listening to their words. The girl lowered her head, her hands trembling. "You don't understand," she whispered again. "The light inside me is alive. If you choose me, you choose my burden, my enemies, my curse." Daniel's jaw tightened. He could feel the weight of her words pressing against him, but he refused to step back. "What kind of choice is it?" he asked. She raised her head slowly. Her eyes burned like molten stars as she answered. "You must decide," she whispered, "to walk away and remain human, or stay with me and let my truth consume you." The silence stretched. Daniel's heart pounded as if it knew this choice would shape more than his own life. He thought of Earth, of humanity, of everything he once knew. Safe, ordinary, unchanged. But he also thought of her. Alone, trembling, rejected by her people, carrying a light too heavy for one soul to bear. The ruins groaned faintly, as if they too waited for his answer. Daniel raised his blade, not as a weapon now, but as a symbol. He drove it into the ground, the sound echoing through the hall. "I choose to stand with you," he said firmly. Her lips parted, her breath catching. "No," she whispered. "You do not know what you are saying." "I know enough," Daniel replied. "You call yourself impure, but I see something else. Not a curse, not a mistake, but truth too bright for cowards to face." Her tears fell harder. Her glowing hands rose to her face as she shook her head. "You will regret this," she whispered. "Once you choose me, the galaxy will turn against you. The shadows will never stop hunting. And even your own people may fear you." Daniel's voice grew stronger. "Then let them. If the price of standing with you is to be hunted, then I will pay it." His words rang through the ruins like thunder. The carvings glowed brighter. The silence cracked, as if the ancient stones themselves approved of his choice. The girl stared at him, her body trembling not with fear now, but with disbelief. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Why?" she whispered. "No one has ever chosen me before, not even my own kind." Daniel stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "Because you were never impure," he said. "You were just alone." Her glow flared suddenly. For a moment the ruins were bathed in silver light. Her sorrow poured out, but so did something new. Hope. It was faint, fragile, but it was there. She lowered her gaze, her voice shaking. "Then you must be ready, for the galaxy will not forgive this choice." Daniel's grip tightened on his blade. "Let it come," he said. "I will not turn back." The ruins trembled again, this time not with danger, but with awakening. The air grew warm as if the ancient halls recognized their bond. Symbols on the walls lit up, lines of silver fire connecting like veins of a living heart. The girl reached out slowly, her glowing hand hovering just inches from his. "If I touch you," she whispered, "the light will enter you. Your soul will change forever." Daniel's chest rose with a deep breath. "Then touch me," he said. Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with fear and longing. And finally, with a slow breath, she placed her glowing hand into his. The world shifted. The ruins blazed with silver fire. Daniel gasped as the light poured into him. It burned and healed at the same time. It tore through his fear, through his doubts, and filled him with something he had never felt before. The girl cried out, her own glow mingling with his. The air shook. The symbols flared like stars. And in that moment the choice was complete. Daniel was no longer just a man, and she was no longer alone. Together they stood against the weight of the galaxy, bound by a light that burned like truth. Humanity stood still. The ruins were no longer silent. They roared with light, alive with fire that had slept for centuries. Symbols carved into the stone blazed like stars. The ground pulsed as if a heart was beating beneath it. And at the center stood Daniel and the alien girl. Their hands joined, their light woven together. Daniel gasped as the power surged through him. His chest burned, but not with pain. It was truth, raw and unshaken. Every hidden thought, every buried fear was stripped away. He was naked before the universe. But he did not fall. He stood, trembling yet unbroken. The girl stared at him, her glowing eyes wide with disbelief. Her voice cracked with wonder. "You are still standing," she whispered. No one has ever stood this long." Daniel's grip tightened around her hand. "Then remember this moment," he said, "because I will not fall." The ruins trembled. The shadows that had fled earlier returned. But now they came in greater numbers. The keepers of silence, twisted beings of smoke and hate, surrounded the hall, their whispers cutting like knives. They hissed and roared, furious that the cloth had fallen, furious that the truth had been revealed. The girl's glow flared brighter. Her sorrow turned into defiance. "They will never stop," she whispered. "They will chase us until the end of time." Daniel raised his head, his voice sharp. "Then let them chase. As long as we stand together, they will never win." The shadows lunged, their claws sharp, their whispers loud. But when they touched the light surrounding Daniel and the girl, they burned to ash, their screams echoing across the ruins. The keepers staggered back. For the first time in ages they feared. The girl gasped, her tears glowing like silver fire. "You are not breaking," she whispered again. "You are sharing it. You are carrying my light." Daniel nodded, his body trembling but firm. "I told you," he said. "You were never impure. You were never a curse. You were only alone." Her sobs turned into laughter, soft and broken. The sound echoed with light. The ruins responded, their walls glowing even brighter. The keepers of silence wailed, their forms collapsing one by one, until the last of them vanished into dust. Then silence returned. But it was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of awe. The ruins stood still. The galaxy itself seemed to pause, as if all of creation had turned its head to watch. Daniel looked down at his trembling hands. They glowed faintly, silver veins of light running beneath his skin. He was still human, but no longer the same. Her light lived inside him now, bound to his soul. The girl fell to her knees, her body shaking. Daniel knelt beside her. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "You don't have to hide anymore," he said softly. Her glowing eyes lifted to meet his, and for the first time there was no fear in them, only hope, fragile but real. The ruins calmed, the carvings dimmed, the air grew still. It was as if the universe itself had taken a deep breath and held it, and in that moment, everything stopped. Humanity stood still, not because of fear, but because of wonder, because one human had seen the unbearable truth, and chosen not to run. Because one alien girl had revealed her deepest wound, and found she was not alone. Daniel rose, pulling her gently to her feet. He looked toward the broken ceiling where faint stars shone through. A new journey was waiting beyond the ruins, a galaxy that would hunt them, fear them, fight them, but also a galaxy that would learn that what was called impure was in fact divine. The girl's hand trembled in his. Her voice was soft but steady. "Are you afraid of what comes next?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Of course," he admitted. "But fear does not stop me. It never has." She closed her eyes. For the first time since he found her, she did not whisper, "I'm not pure." Instead, she whispered, "Then let us walk together." And so they stepped forward, two lights bound as one, a human and an alien girl, carrying a truth that could burn worlds and heal souls, a truth too bright to be hidden anymore. The ruins faded into silence behind them, the stars waited above, and the galaxy itself held its breath, because from this moment on, nothing would ever be the same again.